Hello everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. I'm going to apologize now, I'm actually at a craft show, so if you hear any talking in the background, that's because I'm at a craft show. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Today I'm going to show you how to make this wreath using all ribbon. It's nothing but bows. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. So I'm going to make 2 of one bow and 3 of the other. I suggest having enough material to make 3 of each because that will cover your whole frame. I actually ran out of ribbon and didn't have enough, but I'll show you a little trick that I did to make it look okay. And I'm just doing 6-inch tails, and I'm going to go ahead and make the tails as I'm making my bow because I want each bow to have a lot of different tails. I want these bows to be really full, and I just like to pull them up to see if they're even. When I'm happy with the way they look, I'll continue making loops. The cool thing about this kind of wreath is you can do all the same bows. You can do each bow to be completely different. You can do like me where you alternate. I've never actually made a wreath using all ribbon, but I thought it would be fun. And I'm going to go slow at first to show you how I'm using my Bowdabra to make the bows. As I'm putting them in, I'm going to twist away from myself. I don't think it matters too much which way you twist it. It's just a habit for me. And then once I'm pretty sure I've got the loop where I want it, I'll pinch it in the middle and push it down. And then I can always move the ribbon back and forth. I did 3 loops on each side, and then there'll be 2 tails. And I made sure I left enough ribbon to make a tail that's similar in size to the other one. And I'm just going to press it down, and I will move the ribbons in the position that I want them to be. And that way when I'm adding on top, I have room and I see where I need to fill in holes. And I think if you were to make a wreath like this on a larger frame, you would just make bigger bows or just even more bows. Okay, so since this snowman ribbon is all like it's patterned and it has a particular direction, I'm going to do it by hand. You'll do it in like a figure 8. You don't want to twist it because the snowman will get flipped upside down and it won't look the same. I just stuck it in my Bowdabra to see how big to make my loops. You want to have a really good grip on your ribbon so it doesn't slide through your fingers. So this might not be the best thing to do if you have trouble with your hands. But after I do the first loop, I'll go over, and then my next loop will be under. If that makes sense, you'll take the ribbon and fold it. See how I'm tucking it under? And then on the other side, I pull it over. And there's no twisting. You'll just pinch it in the middle. And this just keeps the snowmen so they're all facing each other instead of all going in one direction. Sorry I'm off camera. It's hard to hold a handful of ribbon. And see, I'll fold over. Oh, but I had accidentally twisted. So then I go under. It shows you the difference on the snowman and which way he's facing. Okay, I'm going to take this bow and stick it in the Bowdabra just to see what it looks like and see if I want to add more loops. And here I'll show you how you have to put the ribbon a certain way to keep the snowman facing the right way. I would have to pull it under instead of over. Then I just adjusted my tail, it was on the wrong side. Alright, I do have to twist it to make the tail at the end. This way when I cut the tail, it's going to be face up instead of upside down. And then I'll just dovetail the ends. Once I'm done, I'm going to put a zip tie underneath it. And then I'll just close it, but I won't tighten it. So when I pull it up, I'll find the center and just move it around until I have the zip tie into the center of the bow and moved around to the back. And then I like to put a pipe cleaner through before I tighten it, and I'll also adjust my ribbon before I tighten it. And then I'll just hold the zip tie string and the 2 pipe cleaner tails, and it just gives me a good grip so I can fluff my bow. And just to fluff it, I add my hand into the loop and I spread my fingers apart and then just move it around until I get it to where I want it to be. And if you do this before you tighten the zip tie, you can move your tails where you want them. And then I will tighten it on the back as tight as I can and trim away the zip tie. And now I'm just going to show you quickly how I made the other bow. Like I said, I did 3 of the Snowman one that I showed you, and then I do 2 of this one, but I suggest you make 3 of each. I was lucky that I just happened to have a snowman that fit perfectly in between the bows. This ribbon isn't 2.5 inch ribbon, it's only 2 inch ribbon. So it doesn't cover as well. Looking back, I should have done 4 loops instead of 3. Alright, again, I'm just going to push it down so I have room for the other one and just fluff it out until I'm happy with where it's placed. Alright, now I'm going to use this really pretty word ribbon. If you wanted the words to go opposite each other, you would do it by hand. I wasn't really too concerned about it, so I'm just going to have them all going in the same direction. Right, and I do 2 of each of the black and white words. Right, and then I'll just fluff that bow. So now that I have all my bows made, I'm going to attach them to my wire frame. And I'm going to do every other, so I'll do gray, black, and then I'm going to use this snowman to cover up the hole where I should have another bow. And I'm going to add the pipe cleaner to either side of the 2 middle wires on the wreath frame. Dude, I was able to fit 1 bow per section, and there's 6 sections on this wreath frame, and that's why I said it would be better to have 6 bows. And after I twist them around, I'm just going to twirl the excess pipe cleaner around the very edge of the wreath. This just keeps it in place and keeps the pipe cleaner out of the way. Alright, now I'm just going to quickly go through and put the rest of them. I think it would be fun to do a different color in each section and it'd be like a rainbow. If you twist it the way I just did it, where you hold it and spin the wreath, you can't really move the pipe cleaner after that because it's so tight it won't really move. So if you think you're going to be moving things back and forth, don't twist it the way I did. Alright, here's the last bow I have. And see, if I had had another bow, it would have fit perfectly in there. But I do a little trick where it kind of looks like there's a bow behind it. And I'll go through and fluff everything. Alright, I'll just go through and make sure everything is where I want it to be and try to pull it up towards the front so it's not pushing to the back. And I don't want to see any of the wire beneath, of course. Okay, so to add my snowman, I'm going to poke holes in the back of him with my scissors. I think I ended up having to just make little slits with my scissors, and then I'll just feed pipe cleaners through. And since it's soft material, it's easy to do. See, I was lucky to have this scarf here. I just had to poke a hole with my scissors and feed it through. I do want to add a pipe cleaner to the top and the bottom so I can attach it to 2 places on the wreath frame. Once I make the hole big enough, it's pretty easy to feed it through. And then I'll just twist it to tighten it. I don't want to accidentally pull it out. Thought I would be able to poke a hole through that, but it was actually pretty thick burlap, so I used scissors to just make little slits. Yeah, see, again, I tried to poke it through it, it just wasn't happening. But it gave me an idea of where to add the next cut. And then I just feed my pipe cleaner through. And I always like to make sure I twist it pretty tight so it doesn't come apart. Then I'll just move my bows out of the way long enough for me to attach it to the frame. And I put the pipe cleaners where I can attach one part to the bottom and one part to the top. And I'll probably wrap it around 2 wires, sometimes 3. With something like this, it's not super heavy, so I don't need to have more than 2 wires. But if you have something heavy, you might want to wrap it around 3 or 4 of the wires. And this one I did want to keep in one place. On the top, I tried to have it sink into the ribbon a little bit, but I still wanted to be able to see the hat, so I didn't pull it all the way down to the frame. I don't twist it too tight at the top right away, just so I know that I have it positioned properly. See, I thought it was a little crooked, so I do go back and fix it. Okay, so after I get my snowman where I want it, I decided that the bottom looked funny, so I needed to fill in those holes. So I'm just going to make loops out of the ribbon I have left over. It's going to look like I have a bow behind there when I don't. So I'm just cutting it to the size I want, and then I'm just going to use a zip tie to attach it to the frame. I thought this was a nice way to make it look like I had a bow there, even though I don't, because I didn't have enough to make one. I probably could have made a small bow. Now that I think about it, you wouldn't have been able to see it. But this way I had more control about of where I placed each loop. And see, I'll put the zip tie around the end just to keep it there, and then I'll add another one so I can attach it to the frame. And then I'll pull it extremely tight and trim it away. And then I'll just pick a spot on the frame where I feel like it's sticking out, where I want it to stick out. And so it doesn't really matter how big your loops are, you'll just add them to the correct ring on your frame. So if I wanted it to be shorter, I would add it in further. If I want it sticking out more, I'll add it on the top. And I'll pull it tightly. I went through and added 3 loops, or 4 loops of the Let It Snow, and then a couple of the black and white stripe. And that's it. That's how I made my all ribbon snowman wreath. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for watching, and if y'all learned anything today, or if you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.